Hi, boys and girls and fellow teachers and friends. It is Miss Sweet from Fairview Elementary again for our next bedtime story. I'm excited tonight because I'm going to be reading a book to you. We've read about artists and artwork the past 2 nights, and this book is no different. It is about a famous artist, and her name is Frida Kahlo. But the thing that I love about this book is Frida Kahlo was a real person, and she loved animals. And as you can see, I've got Big Juno back here, and I've got Sport over here, and my kitty cat is laying at my knees. So I love animals as well. And so I really like Frida, and I think she was an amazing artist. And I actually dressed up for her this past year at Halloween. None of the students at Fairview knew who I was, except for Alani. She didn't know my name, but she knew that I was a famous artist. So tonight we're going to be reading Frida Kahlo and her Animalitos. And when you jump onto the live video, please comment so that I know you're here. I'm excited to see you guys again tonight. Frida Kahlo and her Animalitos by Monica Brown and illustrated by John Para. This is the story of a little girl named Frida who grew up to be one of the most famous painters of all time. Frida was special. This is also the story of 2 monkeys, a parrot, 3 dogs, 2 turkeys, an eagle, a black cat, and a fawn. They were Frida's pets, and they were special too. I only have 2 dogs and a cat, and I think that's a lot. Frida had a parrot named Bonito. Like her parrot, Frida was colorful. She liked to wear bold shades that celebrated indigenous Mexico and her own heritage. She lived in a house the color of a parrot's bright blue feather, La Casa Azul, where she grew up with her mom, dad, and sisters. Frida had a pet fawn named Granizo. Like her fawn, Frida had watchful, beautiful eyes. When Frida closed her eyes, she remembered her life as a little girl. Frida was always with her father, a photographer who taught her to look at the world through curious eyes. Frida and her father would walk to the park to collect bugs to look at under a microscope. Frida's father also taught her how to paint finishing touches on his photographs. Frida loved the small brushes and the beautiful colors. Frida had a cat with black, shiny fur, the same color as her long, dark hair. Like a cat, Frida was playful, but as a child, Frida couldn't always play. When Frida was 6, she got very sick. She was in bed for a long time, but little Frida didn't get sad or bored. Instead, she used her breath to make mist on her window, and then she drew a door with her finger. Miss Sweet students, what is that called when water droplets cool on a surface? I think we learned that in science. Condensation. Frida used her big imagination and curious eyes to walk out the door with a magic friend, a little girl who danced and played like a kitten. Frida was independent like a cat. Frida's sickness left one of her legs different from the other, and children made fun of her. But this didn't stop Frida from skating and riding bikes and rowing on the lakes of Chapultepec Park so that her leg could get stronger. Frida was not afraid to do things other little girls didn't usually do. She wore overalls and boxed and wrestled. Those are things that I loved to do as a kid with my brothers. Frida had 2 spider monkeys, Fulangchang and Camite de Gobel. Like her monkeys, Frida could be mischievous, even when she was a teenager. When Frida was 15, she went to a school called the Preparatoria and found a group of friends she loved. Like Frida, her friends were curious to learn all they could. Together, they read and studied and argued and sometimes got in trouble. Wearing matching caps, they rode donkeys through the halls of the Preparatoria and set off firecrackers. I wonder what Mrs. Plimpton and Mr. Odie would do if we rode donkeys through the hall and set off fireworks. I think we'd get in trouble. Frida, the next animal. Frida had an eagle named Gertrudis. Like her eagle, Frida's imagination could fly high. When Frida was 18, she was in a terrible accident, and once again, she had to be in bed for many months. This time, Frida didn't create a magic friend. She created art. Frida's mother made her a special easel and hung a mirror over her canopy bed so Frida could paint. Frida used her imagination and curious eyes to do just that. Feet, what do I need you for when I have wings to fly? How creative and imaginative she was. And if those weren't enough pets, Frida had 2 turkeys and 3 dogs. Signor Zolotl, Senorita Capolina, and Senora Casti. Frida's turkeys were intelligent and sensitive, just like herself. And like Frida, her dogs were warm and loving. When she was lonely or sad, she would wrap her arms around them, and they would comfort her. Her Zolo dogs were the same breed that ran and hunted with the Aztecs thousands of years ago, and a reflection of Frida's heritage, of which she was very proud. Frida's dogs had no hair, but their bodies were warm, and Frida gave them great big hugs whenever she felt lonely or sad. Frida's Animalitos were spirited and entertaining, just like Frida. When her 2 spider monkeys were being good, Frida would hold them like babies. When they were being mischievous, they would steal socks and fruit and leap through windows so no one could catch them. Her parrot named Bonito liked to snuggle under the covers while Frida took naps and would do tricks at the dinner table for pats of butter. What a silly parrot. Frida's Animalitos played all day in the courtyard at La Casa Azul, the bright blue house on Londres Street. Her husband, Diego Rivera, even made the animals a pyramid to climb on so that her pets could roam freely. When Frida painted, her pets would keep her company. And Frida painted all the time, while the birds sang, the dogs barked, and the turkeys danced in the garden. Frida's animals were her children, her friends, and her inspiration. Look at those bold colors she likes to wear. Frida painted when she was sick and hurting, and Frida painted when she was happy. She also painted when Diego was gone and she was sad. But Frida was never really alone at La Casa Azul, the bright blue house on Londres Street. She had her Animalitos and herself, and she painted both. Frida painted herself with Fulong Chong playing with ribbons. She painted herself with Bonito the parrot and Senor Zolotl the dog. She painted her black cat, too, peeking over her shoulder. Frida painted herself with all the pets she loved so much, and even butterflies and caterpillars. Her paintings were magic. And today, if you visit La Casa Azul in Coyoacán, just outside of Mexico City, you might hear the sound of a bird, or see a black cat jump from the pyramid that sits in the courtyard of the bright blue house on Londra Street, where Frida and her Animalitos lived so many years ago. And you'll see the name above the door. It says Museo Frida Kahlo. I wonder in Spanish what that means. That looks like a word we should know. Museo. And it's a place you can still go to see the things that Frida loved. I would think it would be a museum. Well, thank you, boys and girls. That is the end of the book tonight, Frida Kahlo and her Animalitos. I love reading about her because she had all the different animals and she was so energetic. And she, even though she got sick and she had to stay in bed for many, many months, she still didn't get down on herself. She was still positive and still decided to be creative. And I think that's a great attitude to have. So as we're stuck in the house for the next couple of weeks, just think, how can you make the best out of it? And what can you do to be positive and have a good attitude about things? So thank you again for tuning in for our bedtime story. It was so good to see you all. Everybody stay safe, stay happy, and stay healthy. And I will see you tomorrow at 7:30 for our next bedtime story. Love you guys.